Alrighty, today we are going to be talking about Levi when he was 2 months old and what life was like then. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so within Levi's second month, our sleep drastically improved. The routine was just becoming a lot more manageable for me, waking up super early with Elias and being up all day and then still getting very fractured sleep at night. It was just a lot more manageable because at this point I had a month to kind of adjust to it, and that was really helpful. It was also really helpful that Elias was still napping at this point, so I was at least able to get a break midway through the day as long as Levi's naps were lining up with Elias's. And at this point, I found relatively decent methods to get Elias in the routine of pushing his nap later, so that way it would line up with Levi's a little bit better. And I mean, relatively speaking, aside from that big adjustment, everything else stayed basically the same. The narcissist was just really unattentive and avoidant of all of us. He was very rarely around, like working on his car, drunk all the time. We'd go spend time with my mom. And for his 2-month photo shoot, we did an Adam Family style photo shoot. And of course, narcissist was also not involved in those either. It was just the three of us. Do you know what I'm filming today? Well, I know you know I'm filming right now, but do you know what I'm talking about today?
Mm-hmm.
What am I talking about?
About babies.
I'm talking about when brother was 2 months old.
When I was a baby?
Yeah, when you were a baby. A tiny little baby. A 2-month-old baby.
Mom?
Yes.
Can you be mommy long legs now?
He loved to talk. He loved to dance.
I want to dance, especially my dad when I was a baby.
That's how you danced as a baby?
Uh-huh. That's a baby, and I let you know. And I say that's a baby.
You know what else we did a lot when you were 2 months old?
I'm going to find out where it comes from.
You want to know where we lived when you were 2 months old? We lived with Uncle Timmy.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And you know what you would do all the time?
Mm-hmm.
You would go and Uncle Timmy would grab you sometimes and you would sit with him while we were watching MMA fights or while he was playing games, and you would just like scrunch up and like lounge with him. It was so cute.
I play as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No, you did that when we visited him recently. But when we lived with him, you just kind of chilled because you were only a little baby. And we called it boss position. With all your little... Yeah, boss position. And you just lounge there forever. With your eyes all open, just chilling and vibing with us all. Your second month was really fun, though. We did a lot of really cool things. We hung out with Grandma all the time. We hung out with Uncle Timmy all the time. Brother held you all the time.
Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Soup, Teenage Mutant Ninja Boy. No, it says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ninja Turtles.
But yeah, most of the second month was actually really nice. We had a lot of alone time. Again, he was very uninvolved. So it was a lot of us just hanging out and relaxing and having fun. And Elias loved being big brother. He wanted to help all the time.
I like the rock is you. And they tried to me as a baby. She put you holding me.
I love you, buddy.
How am macaroni? But we don't hide.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
But this is my
7, 8, 9, 10. I'm coming. Sorry about what the angles will be. I think the biggest argument that we had was on account of my breastfeeding. He was very angry that, like, Levi didn't like being covered. And so he would get mad all the time that, like, I'd be sitting on the couch in my uncle's house, the house that we all lived in. But it was a house that we all lived in. And he would get so angry because he was like, well, you're never covering up. And, like, Tim comes out here and he has to see that, blah, 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 blah. And it got to a point where I was like, bro, my uncle's not the kind of person that if he has an issue with something that he's not going to vocalize it. And my uncle never told me that my breastfeeding while sitting on the couch was an issue. So it was clearly just something that made him super uncomfortable. And the weird thing is, we also at one point during this time frame saw family friends who I still get to see for the boys' birthdays and stuff, which I love. Like, they're still involved and around, and I get to talk to them. We were over at their house, and they were like, don't feel like you need to cover, don't feel like you need to do any of that, like, it's all good, like, you do what is most comfortable for you and baby. And I instinctively looked over at the narcissist because I was so scared that it was going to start a big old fight when we got home.
Mommy, Mom, do you smell something?
Yeah.
Coming from this door.
Weird. And it wasn't over there. Like, it was fine to not cover over there because they all said that it was fine when we walked through the door. In the house that I lived in with my own family member, who was basically my father, it was a bigger issue. Like, I needed to be more modest.
I found the sun.
Good job. Sorry. I would have responded to you earlier, baby, but I was drinking. Wow. But yeah, I just didn't understand the issue with my immodesty because, like, I even talked about it with my uncle now, and I was like, he always just, like, tried to blame you. And even my uncle was like, but yeah, my uncle was also confused as to why it was always such a issue for him and why he always had to blame my uncle for it when it was clearly just something he didn't like. But yeah, it was always one of those things that I didn't understand. That was like the biggest fight we had. But yeah, it was ultimately just really strange. But that's the video. We're running around playing, so I'm going to go and enjoy some time with them before it gets too hot. Bye.